Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please, let's go to the headlines.
On Disney Plus every night. Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air in the West. President Trump just announcing that one of the two National Guard members shot near the White House has died. Plus, the major back-to-back storms just as millions head home after Thanksgiving. First, that tragic news just coming in. President Trump says National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom has died, gunned down near the White House. Sergeant Andrew Wolf fighting for his life tonight. Authorities are calling it an ambush attack. New details tonight on the suspected shooter, now identified as 29-year-old Afghan national. Sources say he worked with a CIA-backed paramilitary group helping the Americans during the war in Afghanistan. Authorities now say he drove cross-country from Washington state to carry out the shooting, armed with a .357 revolver. Tonight, he faces several charges.
You picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country.
What we're learning about the investigation, and tonight the Trump administration halting all immigration from Afghanistan in the wake of the shooting. Our team standing by with new reporting. Also developing, we're tracking two major storms just as millions get ready to head home from the busy Thanksgiving holiday. Heavy lake effect snow piling up across the Great Lakes. Travel chaos tonight from the Dakotas to Michigan to New York. Hundreds of crashes reported in Minnesota. And now an even bigger cross-country storm is brewing. Our weather team times it all out. The horrific images just coming in. A state lawmaker killed in a violent crash in Colorado. What we've just learned. Also tonight, a powerful magnitude 6 earthquake striking Alaska with reports of violent shaking. Overseas tonight, the first American Pope touching down in Turkey on the first foreign trip of his papacy. Pope Leo's message of peace in the Middle East. We're just hours away from Black Friday. Some retailers are offering deep discounts as shoppers say they're cutting back on spending. And America strong on this Thanksgiving. After a raging fire, the senior citizens expressing their gratitude to the first responders who saved their lives.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News.
All right, Democrats are riding some momentum from recent blue state victories. They are pouring money into midterm races as they seek to expand their base. But some in the party say the problem is at the top.
Chuck Schumer's generation, Nancy Pelosi's generation, John Lewis's generation, they have so much to be proud of. It is time, though, for new leadership.
Do you think the Senate Democrats need a new leader?
Yes, I do, but that's not in my hands, so that's up to them.
One of the first things I said I will do is vote against Senator Schumer.
All right, that's Seth Moulton there at the end. He is planning a Senate contest, too, against Ed Markey in Massachusetts, yet another of the older generation, so you say. Former White House Deputy Chief of Staff Karl Rove, also a Fox News contributor. Thank you so much for joining us to talk a little politics on this happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. Your thoughts on this younger generation of Democrats looking to essentially push out the old guard, and will Chuck Schumer be part of the guard that's pushed out? Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think there are two things going on here. One is the generational change that is alluded to by Seth Moulton and Cory Booker, and this is natural. I mean, this always happens. The younger crowd wants more responsibility, and if you have these older members of the Senate and the House, they draw younger competitors who want to start their political careers. But that's normal. But what is not normal is the effort by some on the left of the Democratic Party to go after Chuck Schumer on ideological grounds and to deliberately oppose the choice of the so-called Democratic establishment in some of these primaries. The senators, a number of senators led by Elizabeth Warren and Van Hollen of Maryland and Murphy of Connecticut have organized a group they call the Fight Club, and they are aiming to nominate the most left-wing member of the primary contest in critical states like Michigan and Minnesota and Maine And if they do so, the beneficiaries will be the Republican candidates, because these are battleground states. These are going to be battleground races. And the notion that the more the extreme left-wing candidate you can nominate is going to have a better chance of carrying those seats is ridiculous.
Yeah, the Fight Club's a great one to bring up. There's this headline from The Hill, a headline, quote, "Their message is clear. If Democrats want energy vision and a real shot at regaining the Senate majority, the party can't keep relying on yesterday's playbook." And maybe that's the real question. At a moment when young voters are disengaging with the Democratic Party, trust is low, the stakes couldn't be higher. Is it time to let new leaders take the wheel? In politics, when this many people start clearing their throat at the same time, someone in leadership should probably start listening. And it's not just the progressive voice. We're also hearing, people that are trying to gain attention. And here's one, the Representative Eric Swalwell of California, talking about not just a Fight Club, but painting these younger Democrats as sort of an Avengers, as having a deep bench. Take a listen.
Some Democratic leaders send 8-page strongly worded letters to the president when they don't like something. Gavin Newsom goes to the courts and wins. That show not tell style is what people expect right now.
On this Thursday night, an agreement on a path to a new pipeline. The ambitious agenda Canada's Prime Minister and Alberta's Premier have signed on to.
This is a great day for Albertans. This is Canada important.
And the familiar roadblocks.
No proponent, no route, no money, no First Nation support.
Plus, the federal cabinet minister who's now resigning. The aftermath of Hong Kong's deadly high-rise inferno and the evidence of negligence. And the Afghan national accused of shooting 2 National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C.
We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan.
Plus, a history of a mystery, the exhibit dedicated to fiction's greatest detective and his connection to Montreal. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin with a sweeping plan to build a new oil pipeline from Alberta to the BC coast. Hi, Prime Minister. How are you? It looked like Christmas came early for Alberta's Premier as she welcomed Prime Minister Mark Carney, the two promising their plan will position Canada as an energy superpower.
It's going to unleash an incredible amount of investment and allow us to work together on important nation-building projects.
That's going to make Canada stronger, more independent, more resilient, more sustainable. And it's all done in a spirit of cooperation, partnership, and trust.
It is not a guarantee a pipeline will be built. It's a memorandum of understanding, a first step to create the necessary conditions. The project proposal, including finding a company willing to build it, has to be completed by July 1st of 2026. And there are many obstacles in its path, from BC and from First Nations. And today, the former federal Environment Minister, Stephen Guilbeault, resigned from cabinet after the pipeline plan was unveiled. David Aiken is following all the developments for us tonight. David.
Well, Donna, in short, Alberta is getting its best chance yet at a new oil pipeline. Ottawa is getting its best chance at meaningful reductions to harmful greenhouse gas emissions. And both sides think what they're doing here will create more than 40,000 new jobs and add more than $16 billion a year to the national economy.
It's a great day for Alberta. It's a great day for Canada.
Canada's Prime Minister and Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith were all smiles as they signed what Smith...
View News, live from Berlin. The Hong Kong apartment blaze is extinguished as the death toll rises. Over 90 people have been confirmed dead and hundreds are unaccounted for. Crews hope to comb through the 7 charred towers to find the missing. Also coming up, U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed the death of the 20-year-old soldier shot near the White House. Her fellow guardsman remains in critical condition. Authorities are investigating the motive behind the ambush.
And as floodwaters recede in southern Thailand, the scale of the devastation is laid bare. Crews are struggling to reach stranded residents, and morgues are running out of space. Plus, a year after a contested election, pro-EU protesters in Georgia aren't giving up the fight. They fear the nation is veering toward a dictatorship as the ruling party tries to silence the opposition.
Welcome back. You're watching Daybreak here on France 24, 8 a.m. here in Paris. Our headlines this hour. The death toll from the massive high-rise fire in Hong Kong rises to 94, with dozens still missing. Firefighters are carrying out a final sweep of the complex to search for survivors. We'll have more from France 24's former Hong Kong correspondent, Oliver Ferry. One of 2 U.S. National Guard troops wounded in a shooting this week has died from her injuries. Donald Trump announced her death during a Thanksgiving news conference. The attack was carried out by an Afghan national resettled in the U.S. after working with the CIA. And Palestinians accuse Israeli troops of executing 2 men in the West Bank in cold blood. Video shows soldiers firing at the 2 men after they appear to have surrendered. The Israeli military says it is investigating.
A New South Wales police officer convicted of a crash that killed an Indigenous teenager. The death toll from the Hong Kong apartment fire rises to at least 94. Hundreds remain missing. One of 2 National Guard members shot in the US Capitol on Thursday dies of her injuries. The other is fighting for his life. And the government's overhaul of the country's environmental laws is officially passed by Parliament. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Ros Childs. A warning, this first story contains the name and image of an Indigenous person who's died. Well, found guilty over a collision that killed an Indigenous teenager. Benedict Bright pleaded not guilty to dangerous driving occasioning death over the crash in February 2022. Reporter Tani Jash is outside. Hello, good morning. It's 6 o'clock on Friday, the 28th of November. These are your headlines. Another U-turn. Labour scraps a manifesto promise to protect workers from unfair Trump confirms the death of one of the 2 National Guard members shot in D.C., blaming immigration policy of Joe Biden. He announces a permanent pause on migration from what he calls the Third World. And at 6:40, we'll be seeing what's making headlines in today's papers with education and politics correspondent for The Scotsman, Katrina Schultz. Hello, good evening. Now has scrapped plans to give workers protection against unfair dismissal on day 1. It was one of their flagship policies, championed by former Deputy Leader Angela Rayner. The country's biggest businesses have welcomed the move, but Labour backers say thing to do, and it also comes to the government to break it. Amanda Acas, morning to you, Amanda. Right was absolutely at the centre of this pitch the electorate ahead of the last general election. And there are lots of different measures in that, but this is one specific area which has been a real bone of contention.
Asia Now.
Hello, it's 2 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 11:30 in New Delhi, and 1 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers. At this hour, firefighting has ended in Hong Kong 2 days after its worst blaze in decades. You're looking at live pictures of the site where at least 94 are confirmed dead. Dozens remain missing, and investigators are examining how the fire started and why it raced through the building. Severe floods across Southeast Asia leave nearly 3 million affected. Indonesia reports at least 84 dead and dozens missing, while torrential rain also claims lives in Sri Lanka. And U.S. President Donald Trump says he'll permanently pause migration from what he calls third world countries. The announcement coming a day after a National Guard shooting by an Afghan gunman in Washington.
Africa News. The news.
Military officials in Guinea-Bissau on Thursday named a general as the country's transitional president. Horta Inta'a's inauguration came a day after soldiers toppled the civilian leadership in a swift power grab ahead of the announcement of the weekend's election results. He justified taking control of the country, saying it faced threats to its stability from politicians and drug barons without providing details. Created in response to the events of November the 26th, this new military entity immediately assumed supreme power in the state of Guinea-Bissau. Its duration will be only 1 year, the maximum length of the transition period that begins today. Guinea-Bissau is a notorious cocaine transport hub with a long history of military interventions in politics. The coup came after incumbent President Umaro Sissoco Embalo and opposition candidate Fernando Diaz both declared victory in the Sunday polls. The capital Bissau was mostly quiet on Thursday, with soldiers on the streets and many residents staying indoors.
Facing a kidnapping crisis, President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday ordered an overhaul of Nigeria's security forces. He also authorized the recruitment of an additional 20,000 security personnel on top of the 30,000 already approved. Tinubu also ordered the withdrawal of police officers assigned to protect public figures and celebrities and ordered their redeployment. About 100,000 police officers out of an estimated force of around 370,000 are assigned to guard Nigerian political and public figures, according to reports. Tinubu's directive also authorizes forest rangers to undertake offensive operations against armed groups hiding in the forests. Armed groups locally known as bandits have been blamed for deadly attacks and kidnappings for ransom in Nigeria's central and northern provinces for over a decade. No group has claimed responsibility for last Friday's abduction of over 300 children from the remote community of Papiri, the latest in a series of high-profile seizures in search of ransom. A U.S. advocacy group has sued technology giant Apple, accusing the company of using minerals tied to conflict and labor abuses in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. International rights advocates says Apple's supply chain still involves cobalt and other minerals linked to child labor, forced labor, and armed groups. The group previously filed a similar case, which U.S. courts dismissed last year. It says the new allegations are baseless, arguing it has strict sourcing rules and that 99% of the cobalt in its batteries now comes from recycled materials. The company said it told suppliers to stop sourcing from Congo and Rwanda as fighting escalated this year. The suit accuses Apple.
Most watched, most trusted. Now.
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.